Richie, with the 60-40 split of rushing, I don't know, I could be thinking about this too in depth, but for a run heavy team, a run heavy offense, is there anything about that concerns you? Like, let's talk a little pros and cons about being a really run heavy team.
Yeah, I actually like it. Obviously, college football today and in recent years has been very pass heavy, but I think you have pretty good depth in your running back room. The only concern I have is what we talked about earlier, the offensive line depth. If you have two offensive linemen go down and you have two backups in 1 week, how effective can you really be? But I think, Gus Malzahn has shown that it works. Obviously his 2013 team, of course, he had Trey Mason. We do not have a Trey Mason on the roster. But, he did not fear running the football, running the quarterback as well, which I think he does have a quarterback that we assume will be starting who can run the ball. I'm more old school. I like running the football. Obviously everybody loves a 9 route for a touchdown, 60 yards. But I just
Especially
love,
you when you play NCAA, just
yeah,
for what it's worth.
yeah. If you have a 99 speed receiver, but no, I think there's something emasculating to a defense when you just run the ball for 3, 4, 5 yards every play and just keep picking up first downs.
Yeah.
It just demoralizes them, and that's the brand of football that I absolutely love to see.
Yeah, I agree with you on the depth of the offensive line. And, I think another, but to start positive, right? I'll start this with somewhat positivity. I also think that mixing in the quarterback run. I mean, Castellanos ran for over 1,000 yards a couple of years ago. I mean, he was very effective with his legs, and just being able to use that as a numbers advantage, now he's got to be smart, because I don't know how many, like, if I was giving, if I was giving you 10 and a half, like, are you taking the over? Like, how many games he plays the full game?
Who's that?
Castellanos. Like, if you
I
anticipate,
won't even pronounce his last name because I got roasted in the chat last week.
dude, like by like 6 people.
It. But I think he plays all 12 games.
You think he plays the full? But I mean, probably, right, because injuries are less likely to happen than more. But I mean, certainly it doesn't surprise you when a mobile quarterback misses time.
No.
You think about Lagway missed time last year, Quinn Ewers missed time last year. Like, it's pretty common for guys to get hurt and banged up when they run. And I
think he's experienced enough at this point. He's a veteran quarterback. He's ran the ball. I think he knows how to run smart and safe. And I think that's a big difference, because it's typically the younger quarterbacks that you see that are mobile quarterbacks that get injured because they're just not used to knowing when to get down or when to get out of bounds. I think he's going to be fine, to be honest.
I do want to give some love to our friends over at BetUS. If you're watching any of the Final Four this week, if you follow the NFL, NBA, MLB is up and rolling as well. You can go follow BetUS TV on all of your social media platforms. So again, fingers crossed. I hate to cheer for Duke, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend at this point. And so, yeah, go Blue Devils, go Cooper Flag. But BetUS TV is doing a good job of covering all that stuff. So go check them out over on social media. It's typically the younger guys. I won't mention what happened here 2 years ago because my heart's still broken. But yeah, I mean, just the freak stuff. It's just the number of times you take hits, right? And so, but I do think as a pro, Castellanos' legs is a big deal, and that certainly helps a lot. I do worry a little bit about not only the depth of the offensive line, but just the newness of the offensive line. We've talked about this, but they've got some tough games early, and I think the schedule in October gets a little easier post Miami. But man, like you're gonna be an underdog twice at home, and then you're gonna go play a conference road game, which conference road games on Friday nights are always really tough. And, there's certainly a difference between Miami's and Alabama's defensive line and then Virginia's, right? And that's no shot at Virginia. We'll see how they start the year. Maybe they will be a favorite when we come up there. But, man, you've got to figure stuff out pretty quickly. And, I thought last year the defense struggled so much to get the ball, to get off the field and it really limited possessions that you had. I mean, there were times where we'd have 4 possessions in the first half. And so if you're running the ball, does that, if you're not able to do that effectively off the bat, which they were in 22 and then to some extent in 23 as well, does that put Castellanos in even tougher situations on 3rd and long? And so, yeah, I don't know. I worry about it a little bit about being run heavy. I think I'd prefer it. It's what Mike wants to do. It's what Gus wants to do for sure. And so if they can coach it well, if Herb Hand, who has the experience with Gus, can have them in good positions, then it's a minor concern. I wouldn't call it like some kind of major concern or, oh man, I can't believe they're going to run the ball more in the past. Like, I'm not that worried about things, but I don't know. I mean, is there a running back on this roster that instills just an insane amount of confidence in you? Right. I'm not saying that I'm taking any shots at anybody, but like, nobody showed me anything yet on this that's on this roster that I think like, oh yeah, there's our guy, right? You're kind of hoping one emerges.
Yeah, I like him by committee. Like, obviously, there's no Dalvin Cook on this roster, but I think you have plenty of capable running backs. And throwing a guy like Jalen Lucas into the mix, who, is just an absolute burner. His acceleration would be a 99 on CFB 25. You have a lot of pieces to work with. You just don't have that one dominant guy. And again, Florida State probably will never have another Dalvin Cook because he was the best running back in program history.
Yeah, no, I agree. Guys like him and Dunn come around once every 20 years, right? And so that's not too crazy to say. I mean, I guess unless you're like Georgia or Alabama, on
Exactly.
their current streak, Ohio State. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I mean, I think it also kind of plays into why you brought in Castellanos,
Yeah.
like you didn't necessarily want to be a pass heavy team. He had a really good touchdown interception ratio. He did a good job taking care of the ball. I think he had 18 touchdowns to 5 picks, but that's not him throwing the ball all over the yard. And I think he would probably have a similar, it would surprise me if he had more, around 20 touchdowns would kind of be where I would think that he gets this year. If he got to 25 plus, I'd say that's pretty. I mean, he's had a pretty special year at that point, or we're just down by a ton and having to throw the ball all over the place, which I don't necessarily anticipate. But yeah, I don't know. I think the run heavy side of what we'll do is interesting. And I mean, after just a horrid rushing attack last year, not that the passing attack was much better, but after a horrid rushing attack last year, you just kind of hope that it takes off quickly, because if not, you just make things more difficult on yourself. And, last year I probably felt the best about Lawrence. I felt better about Toafili going into last year than I do any singular guy this year. And so that probably concerns me a little bit too. Again, not shots at Cam Davis or Roydell Williams or anybody else. I'd love for one of them to really emerge, but we'll kind of see how they end up playing out.